I'm Bill Birkes. I'm running for state representative in the 128th district. It includes northeast part of Joplin, Webb City, Carterville, Dunawig, Duquesne, and Airport Village.
Okay.
And very few parts of the unincorporated parts of the county.
Okay. How did you get into this race?
I decided that my lifetime experiences and my jobs prepared me well to take part in the crucial decisions that are facing Missourians right now. We'll uncover many reasons as I go here, but I'm concerned mostly about the direction the country's going, and a lot of things are very important, but everything seems to come back to money and budgets, economy and jobs, and I have a good background and strong background in those areas.
Tell us about that. Did you grow up around here or work here?
I'm a Webb City High School graduate, and I started out in banking and finance. I went on to move around in Kansas City as a Missouri State Bank examiner, went back to Washington, D.C., worked for American Bankers Association as a banking professional, went on with, I had short-term consulting assignments with World Bank in North Yemen and South Korea.
Cool.
I've worked with FDIC twice. I worked with the Resolution Trust Corporation in the early 90s while they closed savings and loans and sold a lot of properties that were in default at that early 90s. I kept up my Army Reserve for 28 years, and I went on active duty for 5 years in the late 80s. And I was a lieutenant colonel at Fort Sheridan, Illinois at 4th Army Headquarters. It was a 3-star command, and I had a lot of budget responsibility, management responsibility, leadership, and involvement in just a whole lot of different subjects regarding really developing programs and issuing the first of the desktop computers through a 7-state area.
Wow, that's pretty neat. What year was that?
That was 85 to 90.
When the desktops came out.
15 megahertz was as fast as they were. And they were slow.
Right.
And I worked with the first issues of PowerPoint.
Wow.
I used to spend all day Saturday in there preparing charts because we couldn't get, we didn't have an adequate staff that could do these well. So I would go in a lot of the time and prepare them myself for the briefings.
Now that you probably put that presentation together in a couple minutes.
I've lost my abilities on I can still use PowerPoint, and I've developed some charts recently, but it's interesting that it has gotten away from me a whole lot. But banking and finance and budgets were my mainstream.
Did you end up retiring from banking? Or?
I retired from FDIC in 1998, and in Washington, D.C. Worked 1 block west of the White House.
Wow.
And relocated back to Missouri to near home and family in 2000.
Gotcha. Southwest Missouri. I graduated from Webb City myself,
so
I can appreciate that. But you're running opposed in this race?
I am opposed.
What do you think are some key differences between you and your opponent?
I believe I can be an effective and a full-time legislator and represent the mainstream and the larger number of Jasper County citizens. I have experience at the Army level, and at Resolution Trust I prepared the agenda for the Executive Committee and the Board of Directors to make their decisions on closing savings and loans and selling properties. I have experience working with others in a team. I'm a teamwork player, and I can gain a consensus among people of varied interest, different philosophies and ideologies, and get a consensus, and I can be assertive by virtue of a lot of my training.
Sure.
I had a command in the Army Reserve for 2 years of a data processing unit, and if you ever tried to manage a group of computer programmers and computer operators, each one is has an ego and a prima donna, and get them to perform. I had a daily operation going in the Army Reserve, but no, I can be effective and sometimes coercive, and I can obtain a lot of good for Jasper County and the citizens. BIRKES works for you is our motto.
There we go. Now those computer programmers are flying drones and
yes,
doing all, they're playing video games just about.
I know. Yeah, I couldn't keep up, and so that's the reason I went back to, I was a manager. And I developed budgets, I developed management plans for information management security and issuing a lot of computers.
Right. Now we've got, we've had the big budget cuts on the state level this last session. And we're obviously Missouri can't create its own currency, so it's either two unpopular options: raise taxes or cut services. When you're facing a tough decision like that, how do you make your decision? What directs you?
These are hard, and again, I use the word crucial decisions. I've said I will vote against any new taxes and any raising any taxes, and I will vote against any fee charges that are disguised. Or excuse me, any taxes that are disguised as fees. I'll vote against them too. I think we've got to live within the revenues available, and the revenues have diminished, of course. I went to the Joplin City Council meeting Monday night, and they had a report from the state about declining tax income. But you've got a choice here between raising taxes, and we're not going to do that, and laying off people. And I think anytime, if you lay off people, you've only increased unemployment in the state of Missouri. There's a lot of cost to terminating people. You have to do it through attrition. So we have to decide what programs that we can live without, if possible. And a lot of programs are mandates by the federal government and within the state laws and so forth. You'll have to scratch your head and see what projects, what costly capital projects, for one thing, can be delayed until we get back on an economic footing, good footing.
If you were elected, are there any top priorities you would have, or a project you want to tackle first?
I don't have